The emergency beacon had been silent for 3 hours. Arya Vale sat in the ruined research outpost, her back against the cold metal wall, cradling 2 small, furred bodies against her chest. The cubs, no larger than house cats but infinitely more dangerous even at this age, had finally stopped whimpering. Their tiny claws, sharp enough to shred Kevlar, were retracted now, tucked safely against their bodies as they dozed. The outpost was a graveyard. Twisted metal jutted from walls where the Karvath pack had torn through during the evacuation. Arya's colleagues had fled in the last shuttle 40 minutes ago, screaming at her through the comms to leave the cubs behind. "They're animals, Arya. Their mother will kill you." But Arya had seen the way Shira fought, not with the mindless rage of a beast, but with the calculated precision of a parent protecting her young. So she stayed. The cubs stirred, and Arya began humming softly, an old lullaby her grandmother had sung. It was absurd, really. The Karvath were apex predators from a death world where the gravity would crush an unaugmented human in minutes. Their adults stood 3 meters tall, had fangs like daggers, and could tear through starship hulls with their bare claws. Yet here she was, humming to their babies like they were human infants. One cub, the smaller one with the distinctive white stripe along its spine, yawned, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. Arya's heart clenched. During the attack, when Shira had breached the compound searching for her stolen offspring, the research team had scattered. In the chaos, these 2 had been separated from their mother, trapped in a collapsed storage bay. Arya had found them crying, their distress calls echoing through the wreckage. She couldn't leave them. The temperature would drop below freezing within the hour, and the cubs' thermal regulation wouldn't develop for another 2 weeks. Without their mother or shelter, they would die. A low growl echoed through the compound. Arya's blood turned to ice. She knew that sound. She'd heard it in her nightmares for the past 3 nights ever since the xenobiologist team had made their breakthrough. They'd called it research. Arya called it kidnapping. Shira had come back. The predator mother appeared in the doorway like death incarnate. She was massive, her midnight black fur rippling over muscles that could snap Arya's spine like kindling. Her eyes, 6 of them arranged in a crown around her elongated skull, locked onto the human. Each eye glowed with bioluminescence, burning like amber coals in the darkness. Arya didn't run. She couldn't, not with the cubs in her arms. Instead, she did something that would seem insane to anyone watching. She stood slowly, keeping her movements smooth and deliberate, and spoke softly. "They're safe. Shira, I kept them safe." The predator's lips pulled back, exposing fangs longer than Arya's fingers. A hiss emerged from her throat, a sound that rattled in Arya's bones. Shira advanced, each step deliberate, her claws scraping against the metal floor. The universal translator on Arya's collar struggled to process the subsonic frequencies of Karvath speech, finally rendering it into fractured English. "You took them. Your kind stole." "I know," Arya said, her voice cracking. "I know what they did was wrong. I tried to stop them, Shira. I tried." She had. When the team decided to temporarily relocate the cubs for closer observation, Arya had argued for hours. She'd cited every xenobiology protocol, every ethical guideline. They'd overruled her, called her soft, too emotionally compromised. The lead researcher had actually laughed when she'd suggested the Karvath might have the same protective instincts as humans. Shira took another step. Her body coiled, ready to strike. Arya made a choice. Slowly, she lowered herself to her knees, making herself small, non-threatening. Then she extended her arms, offering the cubs back to their mother. "They're yours," she whispered. "They were always yours. I'm so sorry for what we did." The smaller cubs stirred, making a soft chirping sound. Immediately, Shira's demeanor changed. Her eyes widened, and a complex series of clicks and purrs emerged from her throat. The cub responded, struggling in Arya's gentle grip, reaching toward its mother with tiny paws. Shira crossed the remaining distance in a heartbeat. Arya closed her eyes, waiting for the strike that would end her life. It didn't come. Instead, she felt the cubs being lifted gently from her arms. When she opened her eyes, Shira was examining her offspring with a tenderness that seemed impossible from such a fearsome creature. Her massive claws, capable of rending steel, traced over their small bodies with the delicate touch of a surgeon, checking for injuries. Finding none, Shira looked at Arya, The human expected rage, expected death. What she saw instead was something that transcended species. Recognition. You protected them, Shira said. The translator managing clearer pronunciation now. You stayed. Your pack abandoned you. You stayed. With mine. Arya nodded, tears streaming down her face. I couldn't leave them. They were scared and cold, and they needed someone. It didn't matter that we're different species. They needed help. Shira was silent for a long moment. Then she did something extraordinary. She reached out with one massive paw and touched Arya's face. Gently, carefully, with the same tenderness she'd shown her cubs. The galaxy calls your kind weak, Shira rumbled. Soft, prey creatures with no claws, no fangs, no armor. They do not understand. She pulled her cubs close, sheltering them against her chest. Humans protect what cannot protect itself. Even when it costs you everything. Even when you face death. She turned to leave, her cubs chirping softly against her. At the doorway she paused. Arya Vale. The Karvath do not forget debts. Your pack abandoned you, but you have one now. Her eyes glowed brighter. When you need us, call. We will come. Then she was gone, melting into the darkness with her cubs, leaving Arya alone in the wrecked outpost. The rescue team found her 2 hours later, hypothermic, but alive. They demanded to know how she'd survived Shira's return. Arya just smiled and said nothing. Some things, she decided. The galaxy wasn't ready to understand, but humanity knew the truth. Sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't strength or claws or fangs. Sometimes it's simply choosing compassion when everyone else chooses fear.